Avatar 2 went the way of water, but did this movie make its way into our hearts?
It's the motion of the ocean in the spoiler-free review.
What's going on, everybody? We are the Cinefanatics. My name's Robert Adams.
I'm Chris Adams.
And we just got out of seeing Avatar, The Way of Water. So we got a quick spoiler-free review for you on this. First of all, this is a 3.5 hour long movie. Woo! That's a big movie right there.
How many jokes are there about The Way of Water being the flow of the urine a person has after sitting through that movie?
Yeah. It's a long movie. It is a lot to take in. Comparing it to, Avengers Endgame, which was also a long, epic movie, very similar to this, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. So a part of it might be that I connect more with the Avengers movies than I did with Avatar.
You're a comic book nerd.
Yeah, sure. So I felt like the pacing of Endgame was a little bit better. This movie, I feel like the pacing for this movie was pretty decent. It was a bit slow in a few places.
For what they want to do with it, the pacing was fine for this movie. That would probably be if we're starting off with any kind of knocks against it in any capacity, I would say there's probably some time that they probably could have shaved off the movie for sure. I think the length is the one thing I kind of really hold against it in any form or fashion or capacity. I definitely think maybe you take 20 minutes off the movie and it picks it up. If you leave it at maybe just the 3 hour mark instead of a 3.5 hour mark or nearly a 3.5 hour mark, I think the movie flows a little bit better. But other than that, the movie itself I thought was fantastic.
Well, so what I'm thinking is the reason for the the runtime of it is to really fully explore this world again. There's new shots of Pandora that we didn't see in the first movie, and almost everything involving the actual water was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and my complaint here about it being long also at the same time is something that I actually liked about the movie too. That's what I'm saying. It's like if I'm trying to find something bad here, because what I liked about it is that I got to spend some more time in this world. I got to hang out with these characters more. I got to experience the world of Pandora a little bit more.
But seeing the interaction the characters had with the water,
yeah,
there's a whole lot of this movie where it doesn't even actually play into the story. We're just seeing characters swimming,
yeah,
and it's gorgeous. And I completely understand, even though this has nothing to do with the story, why we're focusing on this, because it's the thing with a movie like this. It's not just the story; it's the visuals that you're seeing on there. Much like, say, you go to a museum, you look at art on the wall.
Yeah.
It's more to it than just how do you interpret the art. It's the fact that the art is actually on the wall on a canvas for you to admire. You admire that, and then you would understand the meaning of the art behind it.
The flow of the art. It's how it all comes together visually. It's how the colors work with each other.
Yeah.
It's how lines and brushstrokes or whatever all kind of work together.
It's when you go high-end food dining, how they plate food.
And in this situation, that's exactly what you're getting with Avatar is, does the visuals enhance the experience of the story? Well, the story I thought was actually pretty airtight this time around.
Yeah.
There wasn't a character that I thought was out of place. There wasn't a situation or a story beat that I felt like was off the path a little bit. I feel like everything was concise and focused, which you should hopefully expect out of James Cameron, since he took, pretending there's a watch here, almost a decade, if not a little over a decade, in order to get the second one out.
Yeah.
You would expect it to be a little bit tighter, a little bit more focused, and it is. On top of that, like I was saying, how colors work together, how lines and brushstrokes work together, the visuals match. The visuals match the length of time it took to produce this movie. Mm-hmm. So that being said, this is, from me specifically, an overwhelmingly positive review for this film.
Yeah, I did like the story as well. I feel like I am famously now known for not liking the first Avatar movie.
Famously.
Just other than like the general consensus that we hear most people say of like, oh, it's like Pocahontas or Ferngully. Sure,
it's overrated.
That too. That's definitely a part of it. But just the whole world, like I just couldn't get into it the first time. Just I don't know. It wasn't my cup of tea. This time, because it's a sequel, first of all, there's no real exposition. We know who Jake and Neytiri and Quaritch are. We know these characters already. Some of the new characters, you don't actually need like a full-on explanation. You just explain who they are due to the interaction the characters have anyways.
Right.
Like one of the major new characters introduced in this was Spider, the human kid.
We got like a sentence or two about who he is and where he came from.
And we're good. I don't need anything more than that. And I will absolutely say he's probably one of my favorite new characters in this movie.
Also, what they did well with him is that the rest of his story is shown, not told. Anywhere where another movie might do a bunch of like exposition dump. There we go.
It's not often I correct you in your English.
Fact. Where another movie might spend time telling you more and more about this character, this movie actually spent time showing his relation to the other characters through his actions, through how he got along with them, and that was what you needed in order to understand that character more.
Yeah. So something else I noticed after watching the movie, did you recognize him from anything?
No.
He is, speaking of Endgame, he is the kid that's on the bike when Ant-Man comes back from the corner.
Really?
And Ant-Man like, hey kid, what happened? And
Fascinating.
the kid just stares at him and then bikes off like a little bastard. Like, can't even answer the guy. Like, such a rude kid. But yeah, that's him.
He lost his entire family to the blip, you mean, heartless. Anyway. Yeah, so this movie puts us back in the same position we got with these characters, with Jake, with Neytiri. And what I love about this is that it uses their stories to deepen the world of Pandora, to deepen the lore and everything, and kind of really do a lot of really good world building. That's, I think, the definition of this movie. This movie was world building.
Yeah.
We're doing that by introducing a whole nother tribe of Na'vi, and we're doing it by, again, reintroducing the human element of the whole story, of the whole situation, which I definitely see going forward how they could utilize that in future sequels and stuff.
Yeah. So again, I actually did really like this movie. It is a bit slow. There were a couple of parts when I was in my nice comfy theater seat that I was like wanting to nod off, just because it's a long movie. It's dark. Yeah.
You're real and relatable. What?
Yeah. But I definitely liked everything this time around a lot more. I think one of the other problems that I had with the first movie was being introduced to all the Na'vi and all these characters. I'll go ahead and say it on camera. I can't tell them apart. Ooh. All these blue people look alike to me.
Yipes.
But this time it wasn't so much
They're
of a
not
problem.
Real. Put the pitchforks down. They're
down.
not real people. They're not real. That's even worse.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so like I kind of said it right to you right after the movie was over. I was able to determine to follow along this time. Who's Jake? Who's Neytiri? Quaritch? There's Kiri, their daughter, one of their daughters.
Yeah.
And then wasn't there someone else I was saying that I was able to follow along with?
Their youngest daughter.
The youngest daughter.
And clearly Spider.
And yeah, Spider. Well, Spider's a human, so. But yeah, like the rest of them, I was able to follow along pretty well as to who they are.
Yeah.
The rest of the characters, it's not that seemingly necessary to be able to tell them apart. The two brothers, there's the two brothers that like, there's a story beat with one of them that helps if you know who they are, but otherwise not a huge deal if you're having a problem with that.
And I think again, like the biggest thing to take away from this movie also is that they worked tirelessly on somehow, some way improving the visuals of the first Avatar.
Yeah.
We were discussing this on the way back from seeing the movie, which is at what point do we feel like these visuals will look outdated? And I don't think it's going to look outdated for, maybe another 50 years. And even then, I think we're talking about where the uncanny valley lies in somebody who is humanistic looking.
Well, so for example, of something like that, you go back and you look at 1993's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
There is a lot of practical effects, and there are a lot of like robotic dinosaurs done by Stan Winston. how like for the effects that are CGI and stuff and that, how much of that is still holding up today.
Right.
Other than, I would say like that whole entire movie holds up very well, except for like the first time we see the Brontosaurus, the Brachiosaurus or whatever, during the big sweeping Jurassic Park number.
Even then, that's not bad.
It's not bad, but I think that's probably the number one place that and when they're running with the compies in the field, that might be a little jarring. But even still, that movie holds up very well. Like what, 30 years later, damn near. So how long is it going to be for this movie's effects and visuals to hold up before we look at it like, that doesn't quite work anymore?
Maybe a very long time.
I don't think that's going to happen, at least in my lifetime.
Yeah, because again, like this movie is a masterclass on visual effects. You can argue that the bulk of this movie is technically an animated movie because there's not any real life aspects in it. There's not anything practical showing. But at the same time, if that's the case, then I will say that it's a master class at blending both real and animated, because there are real, there are practical, there are humans in this movie still.
Well, I think like everything was actually still filmed practically. Like all the people who are like in,
and there's that aspect
like
too,
mocap suits or something, they're actually interacting with the water.
Yep.
So knowing the visuals between like how do you do a motion capture, a CGI character like a Na'vi, and still keeping the realistic nature of how the water interacts with that character, that just on itself, just that concept is absolutely mind-boggling and gorgeous, and it's pulled off so well in this movie.
I think ultimately, like, I get that it's on the internet, it's fun to call the first one overrated. It's fun to hate on it because it's the number one movie of all time in the box office monetarily. It's easy to hate on things that make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. The thing is that I think ultimately at the end of it, if all 5 movies are to be made, I think Avatar will, if it continues on the train it got from the second one, it will be looked upon later on as an excellent film saga. Again, provided 3, 4, and 5 follow the same line and actually are good as well.
And that's one of those that, like, as long as those movies are up to the level that I feel like Avatar 2 is now, that will, by association, pull up probably my opinion of the first one.
Oh yeah,
eventually, if, like, I like Avatar 2. I'm now in the mind frame where, like, I'm eager to see what they do in Avatar 3 now. I wasn't so eager. Like, even the trailer reaction we did for this one, I was like, this just looks dull and boring. Like the first one, I thought the first one was dull and boring.
But now it's like, I want to be invested in this world.
Yeah, it's not dull and boring. This was a good story in this movie, and I want to see where they're going to go from it more.
Yeah.
And if they continue on that trajectory, at least with me, in my opinion, I am going to end up going back and looking at the first one a lot more favorably in the future.
It's world building done right. It's the same reason I like Marvel, I like Star Wars. These are universes that have really fleshed out worlds, and I want to see that for Avatar now too.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I think there's a lot to like about it. I think first of all, it's absolutely worth seeing in the theater. It's like the first one. It's absolutely worth seeing in 3D. Would recommend the 3D over otherwise, because the underwater sequences,
so gorgeous.
You got to see those in 3D. I don't think they're going to play the same on the big screen in 2D as they do in 3D. So highly recommend that. We're rating this out of 5.
Yeah, I'll do out of 5.
I mean, I'm giving it a solid 4.5 out of 5. It's up there. It's one of my favorites I've seen this year already.
I'm actually kind of curious as to. I'm gonna do this live while we're doing this. I forgot what I rated the first Avatar movie. Not that my rating on this is gonna be in comparison to it, but I'm just.
Oh, you rated it under a 3.
I'm just really curious because I generally just do not like that movie.
Which is funny because we saw the re-release also.
Yeah, I saw the re-release and I was like, it was a little bit better. I still have it as of right now on Letterboxd. I have the first one as 1.5 stars. Like, it was not a fun movie.
Why am I
me.
doing a YouTube channel with you?
I know, I get that, and like I said,
weirdo.
I like this movie, so this is probably going to affect my opinion of the first one.
Yeah.
Eventually, I will go back and rewatch the first one again.
First one made it to a 2, boys. We did it.
Yeah,
you're
there. Starting to get there. This one, I will. Oh man, I was tossing back and forth between 3.5 and 4 stars. This movie was very well done. The story was good.
Just 4 stars, you curmudgeon.
You know what? Okay. You're going to call me names. I'll give it the 4 stars. It's getting the 4 stars out of me.
Yeah.
So.
Own your opinion.
Yeah, I really liked it. This was a lot of fun. Again, highly recommend seeing this in the theater.
Go see it.
I don't know if I would go like big IMAX, huge IMAX screen.
If you can take it.
Yeah, if you can take it. I feel like you'd be seasick.
But otherwise, definitely go see it.
Yeah.
Pick the 3D. If you can take 3D, go see it in 3D. If not, still go see it anyway. It's gorgeous. It looks good on the big screen. It's worth it.
I want to know what. How do you think the legs are going to be for this movie? Like, how long do you think this movie's
blue and very tall?
Well, yeah, jackass. I mean, like, how long do you think this movie is going to be, like, #1 in the box office?
Depends on if anything's coming up in the box office to contest it at all. Otherwise, we're going to have a similar situation to the first Avatar. But I don't think...
And Titanic.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to beat out the first Avatar. I don't, because I don't think anything will at this point.
I think the first Avatar also came out in December, as well as Titanic.
That's why I said what I said. It's going to have a similar situation as the first one.
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't think it's going to beat the first one in terms of box office stuff, but I think it'll rate pretty high.
Yeah, I don't think, like, as far as big box office, it doesn't really probably have any real competition until Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So. Anyways, that's going to be our thoughts for this. What did you think of Avatar: The Way of Water and our review? Let us know down below in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the Cinefanatics here. We're cranking out good things all the time. We want you to watch it and follow and be a part of it. So, yeah, hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the like on this video because you liked it. You like us, so why wouldn't you?
Even if you didn't like it, still like it anyway.
Yeah, do that anyways. I mean, we can't see the dislikes.
We
can't see dislikes anymore, so it doesn't really matter on there. But hit the like. I mean, we could, but I'm not going to. Anyways, so make sure you're following us there. You can follow us on social media at CinefanaticsMLP on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me personally at RobertAdamsMLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, and YouTube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP.
And you can follow me at ChrisAdamsMLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as Twitch.tv/ChrisAdamsMLP.
Yeah, anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you again later. Goodbye.
See ya. It's the longest review we've done ever for the longest movie we've seen ever.
Fitting.